Well, welcome to another episode of Expert Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with Paige Arnof-Fenn. And well, Paige, first of all, thanks for being my guest and squeezing me into your calendar.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here today.
Well, you are so welcome. It's going to be a really fun conversation. So Paige is the founder and CEO of Mavens and Moguls. I just love that name. So she's a how do you explain what you do? You're a global branding company and a digital marketing firm. And I'm just not even going to try to explain it, Paige. I'm going to let you talk to us because it's so different and so fun. But as you get there, tell us, how did you get here? Tell us a little bit about your story of getting to what you do today, okay?
So it's kind of a circuitous path. When I was a student, I really wanted to go work for big companies and ultimately be like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. That was the path I thought I was on. And I started my marketing career at Procter & Gamble. Okay. And P&G makes lots of products that everybody keeps in their house. Yep. You know, Crest toothpaste and Tide detergent and Pampers and Bounty paper towels and Charmin toilet tissue. I mean, you know, we all have Pantene for your shampoo. P&G is probably the most successful consumer products company in the world. And so I started my marketing career there, and I left and went to Coca-Cola as the assistant chief marketing officer at Coke. And Coke is probably the most recognized brand in the world. You know, I think it's sold in over 200 countries. And so my original chapter of marketing was kind of big brand marketing, working for big companies. But then the internet took off and I got real curious and got bitten by the .com bug. And I left my big cushy corporate job at Coke. And I joined a startup in Los Angeles that no one had ever heard of before. My mother was horrified. But it was a great, you know, it was like Internet 1.0 in 1997.
Yep.
And we raised a lot of money, and most of it was going to be used for marketing. And we went public in 1999, and we were sold to Yahoo. And then I did another startup as the head of marketing, and we got sold. And I did a third startup as the head of marketing, and that also went public and got sold. So I had a really fun ride with these internet companies. And I realized I had learned a lot about marketing at the big companies, and it was fun to apply it to these scrappier, more entrepreneurial brands. But then 9/11 happened, and the world changed. And marketing was the first thing that got cut from everybody's budget. And I had just gotten bought out of my third startup. And a lot of the people that had funded those early startups, the venture capitalists, the private equity guys, started calling saying, we need some marketing help, because everybody fired their marketing department after 9/11 because they needed to conserve cash because people were so nervous. But they still needed marketing. So people came out of the woodwork and said to me, Paige, can you help us? You helped us before, build these brands that were real successful. Can you come back? And I thought, well, I'm not really a consultant. I never worked on the agency side. I was always the client. And my husband said, Paige, there's like a big red flashing sign in front of you. All these people need your help. You know how to do this stuff. Send them an invoice. And there were no marketing jobs after 9/11. So I was just going to hang out and, I don't know, clean out my basement and take care of some personal family business. And I said, well, I think I can help you. And I think I have some good people who also got laid off during the downturn. And I started calling, and everybody was available and interested. So I jokingly referred to the women as the marketing mavens and the guys as the marketing moguls. And for short, I called them Mavens and Moguls. And that's really how we got started. I mean, it's really, you know, be careful what you wish for. I never wrote a business plan. I never thought I'd start something and still be running that business 20 plus years later. But here we are.
That's phenomenal. I love that story. There are so many things we could talk about, all the way back to P&G and all the different brands. And why do we have all those brands in our house? That's another story.
Because they have great marketing.
Well, they do. they do. And those brands are, most of what P&G, I read sometime, if they had 32 products, 28 of them are number one in their niche
And
because
some of them are number one, and then they also have the number two brand in the same category.
right. And business owners should study that because that's really important in how you go about your marketing. And that's what I teach clients all day, every day, is positioning is so critical. And
because if you don't position yourself, the market's going to position you instead.
yeah,
So you want to control that conversation.
absolutely.
And you commented on the name Mavens and Moguls. So Maven is a Yiddish word for expert, or my great grandmother would say know-it-all. But, you know, and a mogul, if you look it up in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a mogul is someone of rank, power, or distinction in a specified area. And I love the alliteration of mavens and moguls. And, you know, in my mind, it was the women, the marketing mavens, the guys, the marketing moguls. So for short, I call them mavens and moguls. I never thought it would stick, but people really liked it. We tested a whole bunch of names when we were getting started. And a lot of them were very serious names: integrated marketing solutions, strategic marketing advisors. But those were kind of like wallpaper. They were boring, and people remembered mavens and moguls. And that's, you got to break through the clutter and the noise.
Yeah.
And, you know, I say, if we're going to say we're great at branding and we don't brand ourselves, people aren't going to take us seriously.
You're so right in that. Oh, that's so good. And the mavens and moguls it's fun, right? It allows you to inject what we call personality into the marketing and all of that. Versus so I call most marketing, Paige, most marketers, most business owners are what I call coffee beans. Okay. I love coffee, but if you pour coffee beans out on the table in front of you, they'll look the same. They smell the same. Business owners and most marketing looks the same and it sounds the same. And no wonder people struggle with it. But when you do mavens and moguls, it's like, well, what's that? Let me go find that out, right?
No, it's a conversation starter. And sometimes all you need is to start a conversation to figure out if somebody needs help that you can help them solve.
Absolutely. All right. I'll tell you one of my stories and then I'm going to bounce it back to you. But I've been doing what I do for 10 years, right? 2013 is when we launched our business. And for the first 4 or 5, we struggled. I mean, we were successful, but I didn't have a crystal clear message that resonated. And I was just trying, we probably tried 20 different messages, right? And I was at a conference one time in Chicago and I had my banner up because it was a booth, and these attorneys would walk by my banner and look at my banner, and then they'd just keep walking. And I'm like, what? Something's not right. And so on my drive home from Chicago, I called my son, Caleb, who works in the business with me. I was like, all right, something's wrong. This is not happening. And so we talked and I prayed, and it's like God just gave me the idea. And I said, I got it. And so I called my printer. I said, changing the banner. I've got a conference in 2 weeks. He changed the banner. I went to that conference, pulled up my banner. The attorneys would walk by, they'd look at it, and they would stop in their tracks. And they'd just stand there and look. And it gave me a time to walk over and talk with them. And the message was, create your book without writing a word. That was it.
That's just a natural, like, how do you do that? Tell me more.
And it opened the conversation, right? Exactly what Mavens and Moguls does. And every business owner can do that. The challenge is most business owners aren't marketers. They don't think with words, right? And I love, there's a phrase on your website before this interview, I was out there looking, and it says, it is rarely too early to bring in marketing expertise, but it is often too late.
Well,
talk to us a little bit about that.
You get one chance to make a great first impression. And so you don't want to blow it. If people come to your site and they don't have a good experience, there's nothing memorable, there's nothing that pops out, they can't really understand your value proposition, you've lost them, they've moved on. And by the way, people aren't going to spend that much time looking. So it's really got to connect with them.
Yeah.
So we really try to help our clients find the right words and pictures to tell their story, so that whether, you need an elevator pitch, you're going to a networking event, you've got online messaging, you want to very quickly have a couple of bullet points that really connect with people. Because once you blow that opportunity to get them to come back to your site, to get them to go have another coffee meeting or another meeting with you, It's a lot more time and a lot more money to track them down. And a lot of times they said, well, I checked it out and it really doesn't, I don't think that's a good business for me. I don't really need that, but thank you.
Yeah.
And so the door is closed. So you really want to have a great first impression. So we want to help people clean up well.
Oh, I love it. And that's such a great transition to clean up well, okay? Because what you're talking about there is having a message that resonates and that sticks, right? So I've got these teenage daughters in my house. And the other day, we were doing dishes or something, and some milk or something spilled on the countertop, right? And we grabbed paper towels. And no, I was at church. I was at church, and somebody's little kid knocked over water, and it was on the floor. So we ran to the bathroom, grabbed paper towels, right? And we're wiping up this water. And I mean, we went through like dozens of, like 5 rolls of paper towels. And we both me and the dad looked at each other and said, "This ain't Bounty," because Bounty is what? The quicker picker-upper.
Yep. And you know that their advertising shows that it takes 1 sheet of Bounty for like 5 sheets of the competition.
Totally. But that branding has stuck in our mind, and now we compare all other items to Bounty because it owns the top rung in our mind, right? The ladder. And that's what we try to teach our clients to do, is to position yourself uniquely. And my clients come to me and they say, well, there's nothing special about me. And I'm like, no, I disagree. You all have a story to tell of some nature. And so we unpack their story and position them in their little market, wherever that is, to be different, so they can be the Bounty in their market. How do you work with clients? How do you help your clients find that position and then use it through either their personal story or something else? What are some things that you've done?
It all really comes down to market research. You have to talk to your customers. You want to find out what's unique, special, and different about you, and what real estate you own in their brain that's separate and different from the competition. So you're really digging. It's like an archaeological dig. You're going on an expedition to figure out, what do I do that's really different, unique, special, better than anybody else? And once you figure out what that X factor, what that special sauce is, you need to brand that and own that and reinforce it in every touch point in everything that you do, because that really is your special sauce. That's what sets you apart, so that when your customer and your client has a problem in that area, that they think of you first every time. Every time.
All right. You said something that I say all the time. You use different words, but you said,
and it must be smart.
In there, you're yeah. You said you got to do the market research to understand how they think about you in their brain. I tell everybody, marketing happens in the mind of your consumer. It's how they think about you. Exactly what you just said, right?
But it's also, how do they feel about you? And it's not what you think or what I think or your neighbor or your kid or your best friend or your mother. If they're not your target audience, it doesn't matter. I've had clients come to me and say, I don't understand what's going on, because everybody tells me I have such a good business idea, but we're not selling very much. I don't know what's wrong. And I said, well, tell me your idea, and then tell me the research. I want to know why you think it's such a good idea. And they'll tell me an idea and it seems very generic. And I said, okay, who did you test it with? And it was their neighbor, their friend, their sister, their cousin. And I said, well, that's great, but none of those people will tell you the baby's ugly. Unfortunately, you need to talk to people who vote with their checkbook and their credit card. And if they're not willing to pay for it, you don't have a concept. It's not a business.
Right.
So I think it's really important. And sometimes you need to bring in an independent observer. You need an independent arbiter to help you on the market research, because if some client sent us a Zoomerang Survey Monkey they sent out, but it was like leading the witness. It was like, tell us what you love about our product. Tell us why and it's like, that's not the way to ask the question.
Yeah, exactly.
No one is ever going to hurt your feelings. Like that is not the people you know and love are not going to be honest with you.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry, but you need an independent person to ask the questions in an objective way so that you get real feedback. Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out. It's useless research.
Yep, absolutely. And not only that, but knowing what questions to ask on those things, right? I've been a part of a couple
What to
large
ask and
corporations.
how to ask.
Yeah, exactly. And getting that is huge because it will open up vistas of opportunities to go, really? Yeah.
Exactly. And you may find some real insights into their responses.
Yeah.
You may think your product or service does XYZ, and you may hear, that's what I thought when I bought it the first time. But what I really love about it is A, B, and C.
Right.
Like you may find that you actually own different real estate in their brain than you thought you did, and that you have a competitive advantage that nobody else in the market addresses. And that's like magic.
It is. It is. And, one of my favorite companies is Southwest Airlines. And, everybody looks at them and they've been wildly successful. And usually people see them as the low cost airline, but they're in the top 3, I think. They make lots of money, but it's fun. Their marketing's fun. Their flights are fun. My bags fly free, right? And it's that little phrase right there, I think that really put them on the map for me, because I booked the other day on a different airline last year. And I'm like, what do you mean I have to pay for my baggage? Southwest wasn't flying where I had to go. So I had to do that. I'm like, what a crock, right? So because Southwest found, probably through a lot of research and looking at the competition and researching their audience to go, what does our audience want? And they know their audience wants what? Peanuts and fun and humor. You want first class? There it is, first row. But it's all of that has positioned them very uniquely. Their planes are beautiful, right? Big blooper. How do business owners get there? And you said something that I think is really good, and I harp on this all the time. You've got to have outside eyes. I'm a marketing expert. Okay, that's what I do. I have 3 marketing coaches for my company who look at it from the outside, because I am way too close to my company to do me any good. Now I can see your company clearly, but but we all need outside eyes. But entrepreneurs are hesitant to hire people like you, which is really just silly, because somebody like you can come in and in a very short period of time can help do the research, can figure things out. And usually it's just tweaking something. I would assume it's rare. I would assume that you go into a business and just totally flip it. Is that accurate?
Well, I would say there are situations where they need kind of a refresh, and there's situations where they need a complete rebrand. It really depends on the situation. But I agree. I think whether you partner or outsource different parts of your business that are not your core competency, it really makes a lot of sense, because you're going to do what you do better than anyone else, and you can charge a premium for that. But the things that are not your sweet spot, that are not strengths, partner with people and let them do that, because they will do it better. They will do it faster. And then you can channel your energy and all of your bandwidth in the things that really make you shine. Absolutely. And that's what you're going to be known for. And that's where you build your reputation. And that's where you can kind of, hit it out of the park every day with every opportunity. But if you're doing something that's really not your core competency, it's not your sweet spot, you're going to be struggling, and the outcome's probably not going to be superior. It's going to be a suboptimal solution. And it's short money usually. Like you said, if someone's expert in something, it's not going to take them a ton of time. And if they can kind of come in and do what they do and get out of the way, it's just going to make you look much stronger and be in a much better position.
It absolutely does. It's a lot like, well, if you're a heart surgeon, right? The heart surgeon, I mean, he just stands in the operating room all day and they wheel the patients in and out, right? He's not doing a bunch of stuff that day. He's operating. That's where he makes his money. And in business, same thing. You're expert at what you do. You should be meeting. If you're an attorney or a financial advisor, you need to be meeting with people. That's your moneymaker there. Hire the other things done. And again, I love what you do because you help them understand the power of that message that's unique to them and how that message connects to their audience. Because if you have a message that's not connecting to your audience, I tell people you're like Charlie Brown's teacher.
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
No, nobody's hearing it, and you can take that message to every social media platform on earth and get putrid results. But when you change your message and it connects with your ideal audience, you can go to one channel and dominate and then go to 2 and 3. Because, I mean, small business owners don't have the budget of Procter & Gamble, right? But Procter & Gamble is really smart in that before they launch something, they do all that market research to know that, you know what, people want a paper towel that picks things up fast. And then they find somebody who has the wording ability to go, oh, it's the quicker picker upper. Well, that just is fun. You don't have to do that, but it sure helps. I don't even know where I was going with all that, but it's understanding a strong, I call it a signature message that's unique to you, your business, getting that first and understanding how that connects to your ideal audience. From there, the world's your oyster. Where do you want to go? Because your market's everywhere for a small business. They're on LinkedIn, they're on TikTok.
Right. But
that's not the issue.
You have to craft a different message for Twitter than you will on LinkedIn.
Totally.
You know, you have to understand the platform and the channel to get the most out of your marketing materials.
Right.
The other thing I think that's really important to say right now, we've all been through a lot these past 2.5 years. And whatever got you business before the pandemic, the world has changed so much in the last couple of years. Absolutely. And so if you haven't done market research and talked to customers recently, I think it's really valuable and money well spent to just check in and see how they're doing, how are they making decisions now. You know, think about all the habits and all the things you did before the pandemic that have changed, what you wear to work, how you take vacations, what you're eating, whether you're doing things inside or outside. I mean, so many things have changed. And even just the kinds of the things that we buy at a store. I mean, it's and what stores you shop at, how you shop, where you shop, when you shop. You know, a lot of seniors are still shopping in the quote senior hours in the early morning before the store opens to the general public. I just feel like you have to be very aware that people have made a lot of shifts in their behaviors, and it's going to affect what they buy, when they buy, how they buy, where they buy. So we've been doing a lot of market research to try and figure out what the product and service means in this new normal that we're all creating. And so for those of you that maybe haven't done that in a while or ever, it's more important than ever to kind of rethink and just ask, because you will get some incredible insights from your audience about kind of what they expect, and maybe their price points have changed. Maybe the packaging options have changed. You just don't know, but it's really important to ask.
Yeah, that's great insight. The picture that came to my mind was an ostrich, because ostriches bury their heads, right? And that's unfortunately what a lot of business owners do. They just don't think, they don't look up. And you mentioned something else that I think is really important is market research like this. It's an investment, and most people look at it as a cost. It's like, no, you got to understand marketing happens in the mind of where? Your audience. You need to understand how they think, what keeps them up at night, what are they struggling with, what are they challenged with, all of that stuff. How are you going to figure that out? Well, I'm going to do a survey on Facebook. No, we just talked about that. They're not going to tell you the truth, right? You need somebody who can come in and go. The other thing this does, I assume, right? If I hired you, right? And you sent a survey out and said, hey, we've been, I don't even know if you would say that, we've been retained by Paperback Expert, but they're not going to see the answers. It builds credibility because
absolutely. People love to be asked their opinion.
Yes.
They love to chime in. It makes them feel valued. And if you can do it blind or branded, But if it is branded, it does make them feel better about your brand because you cared enough to ask.
Yeah.
So that shows, that you really care about them.
Yeah.
The other thing about marketing, which I think a lot of people don't understand, I'd say the two biggest areas of our business since the pandemic hit are market research, and then on the other side, it's public relations. And just exactly what you were saying, public relations is really not an expense. The ROI on PR is huge because every time you get mentioned in an article or quoted in something, or you're on a radio program or online, that is, that's going to help when they Google you. Things are going to pop up where they see that you're an expert, like you said, because they're seeing your name pop up everywhere. And it's going to shorten your sales cycle. It's going to fill your pipeline faster. And all of that is if you're spending $5,000 a month on PR for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months, and that draws 10, 15, 20 new clients, that is way more, like the business you're bringing in is a lot more than the investment that you made. And, we have people that contact us and say, we don't understand. Our competition is always being quoted. They're always in these article roundups about our category, and we're never mentioned. Why do they talk about them and not us? Well, here's the dirty little secret. They're investing in PR. They're telling people, look at us, look at us, look at us. They're out there talking to journalists and putting papers out there, white papers, thought leadership, and they're blogging, they're tweeting, they've got a proactive social media strategy. That's all PR, and that is not a mystery. That is how the sausage gets made. That's how people find you.
I love it. And that type of marketing has a really long tail, right?
Absolutely.
And it stays around so that when somebody's researching, because a lot of people research for a few days or weeks before they ever contact you at your website. But when they Google you and you got 2 or 3 pages of information of where you've been quoted and all, that builds credibility, and they're like, wow,
without a doubt. And it's funny, I've had clients reach out to me and say, you can see I have a hyphenated last name, and I have a company with like 2 words with an ampersand in the middle. And I've had people contact me and say, Paige, honestly, all I could remember was Paige and Mavens. I knew there were more words, and I Googled it, and sure enough, you popped right up. And I said, thank God for search engine optimization. And I'll tell you, a lot of people have found us that way.
Yeah.
And when they do, like you said, what pops up? Because with a name like mine personally and our company name, if you Google me, you really do find me. It's not like Jane Smith or Bob Jones, like it's really me. Yeah. And luckily, a lot of stuff comes up because I do get quoted a lot, because I do make a lot of speeches, because I am writing a lot of thought leadership pieces. And then by the time people contact me, they've already you've been pre-sold to them. They know they like you. They already respect you. And they say, wow, this person's an expert. Look at all these people that have hired them. Look at all these clients. Look at all these people that are quoting them. I think I need to talk to them to help me with my business. Well, they've already made that decision. By the time you connect, you're having a conversation. You're not selling, you're talking.
Absolutely. Yeah. You once again, you took the words right out of my mouth, Paige. I call that preconditioning prospects to hire you before you ever talk with them. Exactly Bingo. What you just said. It shortens the sales cycle. You show up going, hey, I appreciate you. Yeah, I know about. Well, that's why you and I have jobs. We have job security, Paige, because we do something that's very different, very unique, that provides a tremendous service to business owners. And I've enjoyed this thoroughly. Tell me, how can somebody reach out to you besides just Googling Paige Mogul? Where can they find you?
The 2 best ways are my website, mavensandmoguls.com. It's spelled out MAVENSANDMOGULS.com, or look me up on LinkedIn. LinkedIn does not hyphenate, so it's all together. It's P Arnof-Fenn, P-A-R-N-O-F-F-E-N-N. And or just Google Paige and Mavens and you'll get right to me.
I like that. I like just Google Paige and Mavens. It'll get there, because it's funny when you Google your name, most of the time your LinkedIn profile is the first one that pops up. Not always, but most of the time. And then if it's followed by 3 pages of Paige and Moguls, you're going to go, I need to talk to this one. And it's really cool. But check her out, mavensandmoguls.com. We're going to have that in the show notes and all of that. Fascinating conversation. It is fun to talk to somebody who thinketh like I doeth. And
I've had a blast, Michael. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun, and the time just flew.
It did, and we could do it again, because we think alike, and I appreciate what you do to help business owners and people understand the importance of branding, of marketing, of research, and of serving people through a really clear message. So Paige, thank you so very much for being here.
Well, thank you. This has been great. I've really enjoyed it.